It looks like
there
this
we go.
right here.
Anytime anyone comes to London, I'm like, let's meet up.
What's up, socials? Welcome back to my channel. I am in Victoria Tower Garden with Jess Dante from the Love in London YouTube channel in London. We are in London.
Yay.
This is very meta for you. You're just like, I do this all the time, whatever. So excited to have you here to do some Q&A with me.
Yeah.
Tell everyone what you do on your YouTube channel.
Okay, so Love in London is a YouTube channel for people who are coming to visit London. So it's all about like tips and tricks of things to do while you're here, how to use public transportation, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, that's so useful because I happen to be visiting London right now.
Perfect, I'll send you some links.
No, yeah, and you already did because we went to a place last night that you recommended. It was called Pulpo, which was really fun because I knew Covent Garden was cool.
Yep.
And I was like, I want to take the guys to Covent Garden because I think it's cool. It was raining, but other than that, it was great. Really yummy Italian food. So thank you for the recommendation. So I went to my vlogging Facebook group and asked, what do you guys want to know about growing a YouTube channel? And so these are the questions that we got.
Caitlin asks, when traveling, are you able to plan your content or do you film what you can?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Your videos are mostly sort of like, let me tell you what I know. You're not, they're very restrictive. We're really lucky right now about filming in London, it seems like, because it doesn't seem they like cameras very much around here, right?
Yeah. And personally, I don't do like travel out and about stuff because, well, I just find that if I'm traveling, I want to kind of be able to not work and my husband doesn't want to be on camera and I kind of don't want to be thinking about that, and it also doesn't really fit my content because I pretty much only do London stuff.
Right, right. So you're not actually traveling, you live here.
Yeah.
Although you're very American, as we can all tell. So you're sort of transplanted from a lot of like fun travel that you've done. So yeah, so you're more going out, doing the experiencing, sort of making some notes and saying, I have to tell my community about this and delivering. So that's cool because then you can plan for it in the sense that you only talk about what you experience and then you can kind of summarize everything into like a theme, right?
Exactly.
Is that essentially how?
Yeah, like listicle kind of videos, like 5 things to do in this area and stuff, and it kind of, it's easier for me to film personally, and I think it's easier possibly to consume for viewers, so that's just always the way I've done it.
Totally. I will just say, just because we're traveling right now, so clearly we have an editorial calendar that needs to be scheduled, I have videos that are rolling out while I'm here, but I'll sort of put maybe kind of temporary but pretty firm date on the calendar that's like, I'd love to share some of my experience while I was in London on this date. I try to give it some sort of theme to stick with, not just London is awesome, but something more specific, so it can be a very day in the life vlog style for travel, but it's not so rigid that if it doesn't pan out, I can't come up with something else to talk about or come up with another idea. So it is, I think it can be tough to plan on vlogging and traveling, but it's possible if you give yourself the constraints that make sense for the channel that you've actually promised your audience. So good question, Caitlin. Thank you.
David asks, what does a successful travel vlog collaboration look like to you?
Ooh,
Good
okay.
question.
So I have.
It looks like this. It looks like
There we
this
go.
right here.
Anytime anyone comes to London, I'm like, let's meet up. It kind of depends, I think, on what kind of content that you're doing. So obviously anything that is going to be beyond London for me isn't going to work, right? So personally, what I've found works best is working with other people who do London style content, whether that be they do videos about British English, but they do a lot of stuff around London.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's another channel I've collaborated with, and they do kind of similar stuff to what I do, but also he does it in like a completely different way. So that worked really well because my audience absolutely loved everything that he did when he was on my channel, and it sent a load of people his way, and then it was also content for me. So I think that's probably what works best for me.
What's really kind of funny about that is I think people try to figure out how to collaborate and not work with someone that they might identify as a competitor. And let's just pretend like we were going to call that guy a competitor. He's totally not, because you guys probably have some similar audience. It sounds like you have a lot of an American audience that's thinking about coming here. They might have a predominantly London audience. Even if there is overlap, I've found that when you work with somebody that's very aligned, the audience is like, oh my gosh, you guys linked up. We're watching you together at the same time. And that collaboration is so much bigger. And I've seen so many niche industries where people could have called themselves a competitor and said, no, let's just do something together and make the audience like go, oh my gosh, they're sitting next to each other on camera and really get to experience that with them. So that's what I think is really cool, is it doesn't matter if you're really doing the same thing. If you can find a new way to do it together and make the audiences kind of see a different experience, it can work for everyone across the board.
I think also too, when it comes to YouTube, that there's this saying that rising tides raise all ships, and I think that is so important to remember with YouTube, because you're right. Like, even if you have somebody that you think is a competitor, actually, if you guys work together and you send traffic each other's way and you're talking about the other channel, that helps everybody, and that it's great for everyone.
Absolutely, collaborate. Definitely collaborate when you travel, because when would we have had a chance to talk otherwise? Like, you never come back home, you never write, and I have to come here to see you. So we never would have met in person if we didn't do this. So definitely collaborate when you travel.
Jason asks, as a travel vlogger, is it better to hone in on a niche, like travel tips, Jessica, or is there still space for travel explore type video?
Ooh, okay. So personally, for me, I've seen the most success from honing down into a niche or a niche.
Yeah.
Definitely, that is where I saw the most growth with my channel, the quickest. When I first started with Love in London, I kind of dabbled. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it. I know the name seems like London makes sense, but I wasn't really sure if I wanted to just focus on London.
Oh.
So I did like some packing stuff. I did do a little bit of vlogging when I did travel. I tried like very generic Europe tips. None of them really took off until I started to produce a couple of London videos.
Yeah.
And that is where people really seemed to like the information that I was putting out there. And also I realized that because I live in London, first of all, it was a really good business move because I don't have to pay money to go travel to be able to produce content. And also, it's where I live, so I know it really, really well, and I can prove that I am the expert at London, and people really resonate with that, and they'll trust me whenever I talk about something or I produce an ebook or I give a recommendation for anything, really.
Definitely. And it makes sense. I think it's good to have some of that more overarching stuff like packing, right? I think that's something fundamental that a lot of people could learn. But if someone's actually searching or seeking out, like, I'm about to go on this trip, what do I need to know? You're gonna pay off more as a channel if you get to have them dive into not just one, but your entire archive of videos, because it's like every video here seems to be applicable to me. And that's really cool. I think that's the biggest oversight that people make, no matter if this is a travel channel or not. Can you go super niche so that you can actually pay off in watch time for a channel? Because like you said, when you were looking for video tips, you binge watch my channel. When I was looking for London tips, I binge watch your channel.
Yeah.
I didn't stop after one or two because you moved over to France and Italy after that, because that didn't apply to me. I think niching down makes a whole lot of sense. Anytime you can show off the environment that you're in, though, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the biggest mistake I see in terms of vlogging today, in terms of go follow me around, is not having a focus of what is this video about, and just thinking that the trees you're walking amongst and the bridges you're going over are as interesting as anything else. Have a focus and purpose for that video and let that be the backdrop for the purpose of that video.
Yep, I agree.
Meg asks, I have made several friends through SSS Beta that are in the UK. Does time difference play a big part in viewership? And this question is for both of you. Amy, you have a lot of viewers in the UK. Jess, you have a big audience in the US.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you do end up having a largely American audience. So clearly you must time your uploads or your publishing time around that.
Exactly, yeah. So I currently publish my videos on Thursdays at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Because then if
Eastern. No, your time.
My time
your
here.
Time.
So that would be 3 p.m. On the East Coast in the US.
Late afternoon East Coast, got it.
Exactly. So I did that because I wanted to be able to, I would prefer to probably publish in the evening on the East Coast. However, I do have an audience still that are in the UK and that are in Europe.
And they'll be sleeping, so then you're like, really, who are you doing this for?
Exactly.
If you're posting when they're sleeping.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're sleeping, you just happen to be posting at the same time.
I have watched my analytics really closely over the last couple of years too, because I've been watching the real-time views to see if people are watching right when it's published, or if maybe over the 24 hours, if it kind of drops off, or what the pattern is. And the pattern is that as long as I post at 8 p.m., people do watch it, the majority at between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So
do you think some of that, though, is the cadence that you have built with the audience? It's not just ideal time.
Yes.
I think that's the thing people mess up is you have to shoot for a good time, but that's not the end all be all. It's the audience needs to know you're going to show up for them at that time.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. But I do like the strategy there because I have noticed that there's a lot of UK vloggers that are posting about that time, no matter what day it is, it seems. It could be a Sunday, and it's paying off in so many time zones then, because you're even maybe getting California at the late morning or something like that. So that makes sense to me. And it's funny because I try to shoot for between 3 and 4 Eastern on Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays. And so that's kind of funny. We're all pretty much lining up at the same time. So maybe that is indicative of the audience, something to observe there. Okay, so tell me about your guide, because if anyone's coming to London, they need this. And let me tell you, mind blown. I did not know you could create a custom Google map and put it on your phone. It has been taking us everywhere what you did. So explain what that is.
Okay, so the Local Guide to London is essentially my guidebook for all of my recommendations of things to do in London, but the more local things, not like the classic Big Ben and Westminster. Everybody knows how to do that.
Literally, there is no pin almost no pin where we're staying, which is in Westminster, because it's all tourists. So this is a map of only locally cool things.
Exactly.
Got it.
So I wanted to provide that to my audience because they told me they wanted it. So I created, it's a PDF guide, so you have that, right? There's also a digital map, which I created that because it's something that I've made for my own travels and even for in London. I always get so many recommendations of like, Jess, you have to try this, or go here, or there's this new vegan restaurant to try or something.
Yeah.
And I needed a place to put it all so that I could always kind of like pull it out when I'm hungry somewhere in London and be like, okay, well, let's see. Oh, there's recommendations here. I've always wanted to try it. It's just down the road. Let's go. So I thought, actually, that's where traditional guidebooks are kind of the downfall, because if you're in Westminster and you've been recommended something in Shoreditch and you really want to go there, that's going to take you like 40 minutes to get there. And like, do you really want to travel that? Anyway, so that's why I created this digital map. Anytime that you're out and about in London, you can pull it out and see which of my recommendations are around where you are. And then also included, you got membership to my private Facebook group where I answer questions. People chat with each other. They share their photos from their trip. It's really good fun, actually.
That's awesome. Go and pick that up. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm telling you, it is worth the buy to have that as your partner while you're on your trip in London, because you will only be hanging out with the cool people in London. I'm telling you so far, I'm like, we're definitely the only Americans here. Let's be quiet so nobody knows. That's all for today's socials. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Go check out Love in London on YouTube. Amazing channel. You must subscribe. If you don't want to go to London, you will immediately want to go to London. So go check that out. Subscribe for good vibes, and remember to get outside your box and continue to go after the life you want. Cheers.